Well, Jumbo Trainers, I'm Regina Garapi, and I want to welcome you to another IP class demonstration. Today, we are joined by our guest trailblazer, Deb Frischmon, and she is going to be teaching you Chapter 5, which is about instincts, hunches, dreams, and desires. So as soon as I finish introducing her, I will hand over the class to her, and the rest of us will become her students. So if you have an IP workbook, you can grab it. And if you don't have it, but you are a trainer, you can either go online and get it if you want to see it on the trainer resources page, or I've also put the link in the chat section below. And if you don't have it, don't worry. You can just grab some paper and pen and you can follow along, and Deb will tell you what to do. When Deb completes the class, we will then open it up for questions. You might have questions, trainer questions for her on how or why she taught something, or specifics about what she does. We'll also just share what we saw that really worked for us, or what we learned and took away, because when we make those connections, it helps everyone. So it's my honor to bring Deb into our virtual classroom. Deb Frischmon is an inspirational teacher, speaker, and writer. She coaches others, encouraging them to discover their life purpose and live their dream life. Deb is a yoga teacher. She also teaches meditation, and she is and I know because I've received energy healing from her. She's an energy healer, a talented one. She's led many full-day workshops and retreats. She's became a trailblazer in 2014 in Chicago, I believe, right? And she's taught IP to a wide variety of people and places. Like, she's taught in a teen dance studio. She's taught men at a halfway home. She's taught in corporate business. She's taught high school juniors and seniors, elementary school teachers. She's taught a church moms group, incarcerated women. Like, seriously, I probably can't even name all of the places that she's taught. But I love that she brings that wide variety and experience to us. Deb has been on the team at several Train the Trainer conferences. She's going to be there in Santa Fe, and she's also spoken on the Trailblazer panel. I would say that Deb is a lover of life and enjoys helping others heal, learn, grow, and transform. So welcome to our class, Deb.
Thank you. Thanks for that nice introduction, Regina.
You're welcome, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. Well, welcome everyone, and I have to say it's so exciting to see so many fun faces today and to be sharing this space, this virtual space with you. This is actually my first online class that I've taught, so I'm really excited about this opportunity. And of course, I'm super excited about the topic. My favorite thing to talk about is intuition. So following your instincts and hunches. And I love talking about following your dreams. So I'm thrilled to be here sharing that with you today. And I want to just say that Regina, I don't know who came up with this idea of recording these chapters, but I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I'm super excited about it. I went on today just to take a peek at the last 3 that have been recorded. And it's so fun to see them because, one, I mean, as a new trainer, if you get trained, if you've all been trained, which I know you have, you might be wondering how to teach these chapters. And you get to see 7 different people teach. So you get to see 7 different styles of teaching. I think that's just so priceless. So it's very exciting. And it's interesting how each person has said, this is my favorite chapter. This is my favorite chapter. So not only is it someone teaching their chapter, it's their favorite chapter. And they have that divine spark inside them as they're teaching. So I'm super excited to be part of this. Before I started to put together what I was going to teach today, I always do what I always ask for a little divine guidance, and I always just put it out there, set an intention to have information come to me. And I don't know if you guys do that, but I always do. And for the last 2 weeks, I've been getting like downloaded with all sorts of things while I'm driving in the car, or I'll turn on Hay House Radio and it's like that perfect message that comes about intuition, and go on my Instagram and I see Doreen Virtue's written about following your intuition or whatever. So it's just been coming to me, and I've been just taking it in and receiving. So that's always really fun. Another thing that I wanted to say is I often don't teach with a workbook, but I'm going to today. I teach workbook style. I took the workbook when I received it, and I actually did the whole workbook myself when I got home from teacher trainer. I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna experience it myself. And so I did the whole workbook, and then I formulated it. It took about 3/4 of the workbook and typed it into my own packet, I'd say, and added some of my stuff, and it's just worked out perfect for me. So this is the first time I'm physically using the workbook, so it's kind of fun. I also have taught this chapter in front of like the high school students with a PowerPoint, or in front of a group with PowerPoints as well, and I like to teach that way, yet my preference is like this, to just sit in a group. You're my virtual group. I like to sit in a circle and to just talk and go deep and share, and have people take it in and maybe do some sharing. So you're gonna get an example of what I like, my favorite way of presenting this material. And before we get started too, I wanted just to say, so the workbook is on page 56. If you haven't opened, if you don't have a workbook, you can grab a piece of paper and just write on paper. You can grab your journal. You can just listen. You don't even need to write anything down. I will say that I would love for you, because I know a lot of you, and I think all of us have been trained by Mike, and we've maybe you haven't had your first class, or maybe you've had lots. It doesn't really matter. What I'm asking of you and encouraging you to do today is to come in as a student and listening to it like in new eyes, because no matter what you know or what you've heard, you're always going to see it at a different level of consciousness. I've had lots of people take my classes more than once. I've had one woman take my Infinite Possibility class 5 times. And she said, she just keeps coming back. And she said that every time that she takes it, she learns something new. She hears something new. So I invite you to just take what resonates with you today and leave the rest. So there's a lot of information that's going to be said, and some of it might be new and are not. But just take what resonates with you and then leave the rest. I want to start, before anything, I always like to start just grounding ourselves. I'm a yoga instructor, as Regina mentioned, and a meditation teacher. And I always like to just start with some grounding. And we've been rushed. You may have rushed to get here. I know I did. And I'm running around the house and getting things done. And then I sit down and I'm like, okay, take a deep breath in. So I'm sure you all probably are in the same situation. So I'd like to just get us to calm, go from here to here, get in our heart center. So if you would be willing to get some comfortable in your chair, and if you're sitting cross-legged, cross your legs. If you're on your chair, just put your feet on the floor if you can. I like to put my feet flat on the floor for grounding. I like to be barefoot. I never wear socks or shoes because I like to connect with Mother Earth. And so I'm right now rubbing my feet on my rug because it's super grounding. So if you can, and you don't have to do these things, these are only ideas. And go ahead and put your hands in your lap, palms down if you need some extra grounding, palms up to receive. And when you're ready, I'm going to turn on some music. Regina's going to guide me and tell me just to give me a thumbs up if the volume's okay. So I'll turn that on. So we're going to, if you're comfortable, close your eyes. Okay, good. So closing your eyes, lifting the top of your head up towards the sky, lengthening your spine, creating that space for your breath. Good. We're going to start by taking a deep breath in. So breathe deeply in through your nose. Fill up all four corners of your belly. Hold it. And then gently release it. Letting go. Let go of your day. Good. And when you're ready, go ahead and take your second deep breath in. Breathe deeply in through your nose. Fill up your belly. Hold it. And release. Beautiful. When you're ready, taking your third and last deep breath. So breathe in deep. This time, if you can, send that breath all the way to your feet. Hold it as long as you can. And exhale. Letting go. Good. Now relax your body more deeply. Starting with your feet, relax your toes. Relax your knees, your hips. Relax your belly, your chest, your arms and fingers. Relax in your neck and jaw. Good. And then relax your mind. Relaxing any thought chatter that you have. Softening your mind. Opening your mind. And bring your awareness to your heart center. Gently inhaling to your heart center. Really slow. And then gently exhaling, letting go. Beautiful. And then inhale, breathe to your heart center. Exhale, releasing, letting go of anything that's blocking you. It's blocking and guarding your heart. Good. Another inhale, breathe into your heart center, softening this area, opening this area. Exhale, releasing. Notice how your heart feels. Explore any sensations you're having right now in your heart center. It is said that our spirit resides in our heart center, in that space, in that sacred space. Allow yourself to connect by breathing gently in, opening. Good. And then dropping your chin ever so gently down toward your chest. Really gentle. Blinking your eyes slowly open. And then bringing your chin slightly up, back to coming back. Awesome. Hopefully that felt good and you're centered and grounded. And I apologize for the phone call that I couldn't mute the person that the phone call went off. So sorry about that. Hopefully you were in your zen and you didn't even notice. So we're going to get started on page 57, our instincts, hunches, dreams, and desires, that at the top. And it says are all examples of our inner senses. So our instincts, hunches, dreams, and desires are all examples of our inner senses. What does that mean? And how does that fit into infinite possibilities and living a life with infinite possibilities? They are forms of direct knowing that originate from deep within us, from our higher selves. And Mike uses the word higher self, and I love that. And there's so many other words that you can use for the higher self. It could be your soul, it could be your spirit, the divine spark, your intuition. Lots of people have different names for that higher self. They come to us from outside our normal awareness and exist independent of the physical world that we live in. He starts right off by saying, do you believe that some people have psychic abilities? So you can circle that if you want, or you can just listen. You don't have to write anything. Raise your hand if I could see just your physical hand up. Do you believe, yes, people have psychic abilities? How about no? Does anybody say no? Okay. How about you, he says, what unusual experiences have you had? So ever had a dream at night that hinted at the future? Anybody have physical hand for yes, if you had a dream that hinted at the future? Interesting, yeah. I definitely have had lots of dreams that hint at the future. My sons also say that happens to them. So that's something that happens on a regular basis for me. The next question, ever think of someone and they called or appeared? Yeah, of course, right? We all have. I've taken a lot of psychic development classes, and one of my teachers said that it's really important to find out if you're a sender or a receiver. And so I've been kind of exploring that. Not that I don't know how important it is to me. She says it's really important, but I kind of can get in my head about it because I do think of someone and then they text me, let's say. So I think to myself, did I send them information? That's why they text me? Or did they start thinking about me and then I received it and then does that make sense? So it's like I could be doing both. I think I'm very good at both, to be honest. I do play around with this. It's kind of fun to play around with this. Like if I want my daughter-in-law, let's say, to reach out to me, I just start thinking about her all morning, and then all of a sudden she's calling me or sending me a message. So it's of course what Mike has taught, in the earlier chapters, thoughts become things, right? So it makes sense. The third question is, ever had a good or bad feeling about a person or situation that proved correct? Yeah, right? All of us. I mean, the thing is we're all energy, right? We all believe that we're all energy. And you walk into a room, we're all, our auras can go like 50 feet, let's say, especially when we're feeling good. We get them, like if you go into an elevator, of course, you shrink your aura, right? But if your aura is really big and you walk into a room full of people, you're gonna sense different energies. And you might be like, I'm resonating with this person versus that person. And you might have a bad feeling about someone initially. And it's not that they're bad people, it just might mean that your energy is different than their energy. So it's something to pay attention to for sure. The next question, ever have a strong premonition? So premonition is like a hunch or a suspicion or a really strong feeling. So have you ever had a strong feeling that later happened? I bet we all have. I have friends that are like, I have such a strong feeling this is going to happen, and then it does. Or I'll say like, I'll just know that already happened. Like I had a strong feeling my meeting was going to be canceled, let's say. I get feelings like that all the time. I get, if someone's going to cancel on me, I know it. I don't even like get dressed anymore. I'm so good at it. I know they're going to cancel and I just know it. And then I'll get a call or a text saying, I'm so sorry, I can't make it. I'm like, no worries. I've already rearranged my day. So I'm getting really, really good at tuning into my intuition that way. The next question, ever knew what someone would say before they said it? I mean, right? We all have. And I would say for myself, it's mainly the people who I'm closest with, best friends or my husband or people who I'm really connected with. And we'll finish each other's sentences. I call that telepathy, so where telepathy, where you're communicating with not your voice. You're communicating with your mind. And a lot of this is telepathic, actually. And I believe that our world used to be telepathic, and it will be again. I don't think it's going to be in our lifetime. Things are speeding up, and I'm loving it, and it's exciting, but I don't think we're going to, it's going to be that profound. I think it's happening. We do, all of this is saying we're already doing this. So it's some very good stuff coming our way. Back to that first question, do you believe that some people have psychic abilities? I believe everyone is psychic, and we're born psychic because we are souls, right? We are spirit. And so we all have the ability to, we're all wired to connect with our higher selves, okay? And so that's psychic. And so some people, of course, are more psychic than others. And I mean, we're not gonna all quit our day job and become psychic mediums or whatever, but we're all somewhat psychic. And so that's exciting. If you turn the page to page 58, if you have your workbook, the magic of our inner senses. So Mike in the black box, it starts out by saying, if we are spiritual beings, and I know you've heard this before, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So Mike says, if we're spiritual beings with a connection to a higher self, our soul, our spirit, our higher self is connected to others like it is to ourselves. So we're connected to other spirits like it. It's only logical that we would possess inner senses. So I'm going to talk further in just a little bit about what are those inner senses. What does he mean by that? Much like our physical senses that can tune into our non-physical information. In fact, our thoughts are non-physical, he said. I love this point, by the way. This is like, when I read this, when I was in the teacher training, I was like, this is awesome. Because he says, although we can't prove to others that we have them, like our thoughts, right? It doesn't mean they don't exist. And then he gives a perfect example about having a dream of a Corvette. And how if you say, I had a dream of a Corvette, people are like, oh, cool. Like last night I dreamt that I was flying. I was telling my husband all about it this morning. He's like, wow, that's, he's listening and he's going along with it. And of course I had this dream. He believes it. But if I say, the angels were talking to me, or my higher self gave me the, people might say, or even a departed loved one, like my brother who passed, I might be like, oh yeah, my brother is talking to me. And someone might be like, I don't know if I believe you. But if I said I dreamt of a red Corvette last night, they'd be like, yeah, that happened. So it's kind of the same thing. So I love that Mike pointed that out. The last, if you skip down to the last paragraph, if you're following along with me in the workbook, he says the point of this chapter is to realize that we all have a deep connection to our higher selves, okay? And therefore the world around us, which often escapes detection by our physical senses, but its existence is obvious once we consider it. So it's just like being aware of it and then taking that further and developing it. So once we realize it, opportunities come. And that's why this is in this chapter, or this in this workbook, and this chapter on instincts. So many cool things can happen if we're aware that we do in fact have a higher self, and then we start listening to our higher self. I can remember being in teacher training, yoga teacher training, and hearing the higher self terminology for the first time and going, wow, okay. I mean, I have this Catholic background, and I know I have a soul, but it was just such a deeper understanding of that what this soul is and what this higher self is, that we are part of God. We are God. We are all one. And so, and then to be able to tap into it, like this intuitive place, this place of wisdom and learning. And then, so once I realized that, like I was just so interested in finding out more information, taking more classes on developing my intuition and having this connection with my higher self. And I have learned so much, and that's what I want to share just a little bit. I don't have We don't have lots and lots of time today, and this could be a 2-hour workshop for sure. So I'm just going to touch upon a couple things, and then we're going to move on. But I wanted just to, before we move on, I wanted just to talk about the higher self and the intuition, as far as like I keep saying the word intuition, and that's not in the book, but to me, that it is intuition. And intuition is basically your higher self, not the ego. It's that divine guidance system that Mike talks about, following that guidance system. And it's always there for you. And, how do you listen to your intuition, or how do you develop this? 1, just being aware like we are today. 2, maybe take some classes and learn how, and then make it into a practice. You probably hear that a lot, that everything needs to be a practice. And connecting with your intuition, your higher self, is a practice. And I took a class with Sonia Choquette. She's a Hay House author, and she was teaching me just little things like name your intuition, name your higher self. She calls hers like bright light. I thought that was interesting. But so bright light, and she'd be like, good morning, bright light. And so talking to your intuition the minute you wake up, and then all day long, like if you can't find your keys, hey, bright light, I'm looking for my keys, and see what you hear. And so forming this relationship with your higher self. And then possibly like getting quiet, doing a prayer, asking, right? When we pray, we ask. And then when you meditate, you hear and you receive and you get the information. I had this amazing, profound experience of that, where I asked, I was in my meditation chair, and I asked, and I said, how can I be of service more? And then I received, and I got a clear message that was my voice. Because remember, I want to say that when you hear, I hear my voice. Some people are expecting this to be like this magical like voice, and for myself, it's my voice. But it was definitely not my voice, in the sense of it was so clear. And so it just said, do meditation with the men. And I'm like, my eyes popped open. I'm like, do meditation with the men? Because at the time I was working at the jail with women, and I was doing yoga and meditation with the women. And they had asked me to do meditation with the men. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm not up for that. And then when I heard do the meditation with the men, and I literally stood up and out of my chair. I'm like, okay, God, if you want me to do meditation with the men, then I need a sign, and I need it today. Like, I was just like, I need it now. And I went to my chiropractic appointment, and the person who checks me in, she's like, you're looking chipper today. And I'm like, yeah, I just volunteered at the jail doing yoga meditation. And she's like, yeah, I just read in the Time magazine this morning that they're doing meditation with the men in prison, and it's so effective. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, there it is. There's my message. And so following my intuition, I asked, I received, and then it was clear. And sometimes, it's not always going to be that clear for you. But I will say, a lot of times, I get a hit, and Mike calls it instinct and hunches. I get them in the car. I don't know what you guys, raise your hand if you get them in the car. I get them all the time in the car. I'll be driving, I meditate, and then I get in the car to drive to yoga, and everything just starts coming. Some people get them in the shower. Some people get them in the bathtub. Everybody has a different place where they get their hits, I call them. It's usually where you're not thinking, and you're just relaxing, and you let it come through, right? I will say that I want to share this quickly, that last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, I was running a retreat, a spiritual retreat. And the woman who was working with me, she did the yoga and meditation. And I was doing her yoga. I was lying down in Shavasana, which is the last pose of the practice. And I'm lying there, and I can go right to Zen, because I meditate daily, and it's just natural for me. And I went right to my Zen. And I started seeing like purple blobs and moving, and everything was just feeling zen. And then all of a sudden, a bug that started crawling on my neck, and I'm like, I shut up, and I'm like, whoa, and I'm like, whoa, and flicking it off me. And then after I realized it kind of went away, I laid back down, and I could not go back to that Zen and that place that I was, where I was seeing and feeling and all those inner senses that Mike talked about. And so what I concluded with that is when we listen to our and get hits with our intuition, whether it's I'm going to say angels, guides, intuition, whatever spirit, whatever it is coming. I don't really care where it's coming from. I don't get hung up on that. But when we get information, it's usually when we're relaxed, when we're calm, when we're plugged in, when when our vibrations are high, like it's just, so it really emphasized to me, like, this is a perfect example. It took me like 10 minutes to get back to that Zen place. Like, I couldn't get there because I had that fear. So I will say, like, people like, I want to be able to see what you see. I want to hear what you hear. I wish I get hits with my intuition like you do. And I would say the fear. It's when we get out of there here and go into here, that's when this all will come through. So backing up a little bit, Mike talked a little bit about the inner senses, and I just want to talk about what I believe he's referring to is we have the physical senses. We can see, hear, smell, taste. The inner senses, the main four ones are you can see with your third eye. Some people are very, like, it's very easy for them. Some people, you can develop that too. I only see with my eyes closed, and I see color, and I'll see movement and shape, and some people actually see a movie, which is so fun. And then there's hearing is another inner sense, and it's not your physical ears. It's like hearing, you hear a voice, and typically it's yours, or you might hear something. It's your voice, but spirit coming through that. And then there's the feeling. A lot of you have that, and we all have that, like, I have a feeling about this. And then there's the knowing. You just know. Like, there's some people I know are like, I don't know, I just know. I just know. And they're like, it just gets downloaded. So those are some inner senses that we all have availability or access to, and we can develop them. Moving on to the next page, on page 59, instincts and hunches. The instincts and hunches, they come from our higher selves. So they're coming from our higher selves, and Mike says they're bursts of insights that reveal truth about reality and our experiences we're creating. So they're just like this burst of insight, and knowing that our instincts and hunches that coming from our higher selves, and that's for the teachers, that's our first key point, by the way. So that's really important that we know that they're coming from our higher selves. If you go on down the workbook where it says, can you recall a time in the past when you followed your instincts and hunches? And up above that, he gives an example of, like, leaving a job. You might get nudged, let's say, to leave your job, but he also says, like, wait till it's right, until you know, when you have a clear knowing. And I'll give an example of myself when I was a teacher for 18 years. And I loved my job, and I loved everything I did, and I was getting nudged, poke, poke, prod, to quit my job. And I'm like, what? What do you mean quit my job? And I literally was like, I don't know. I can't quit my job. This is everything. And 2 years of that. And then finally in the third year, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to quit my job. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I went into yoga, and it worked out perfect. So I can look back, and I can now. And so can I recall a time where I followed my instincts? Yes, I can look back. That's easy. You can too. You might look back at a job you took, or a spouse. Maybe you're marrying your spouse, or or being with a partner, or whatever. It's easy to look back. So if you're with me in the workbook, if you want to jot down 1 or 2 times, I put down teaching, just becoming a teacher. I also jotted down when I quit my teaching job and became a yoga instructor, and married my husband, Tim. So those were easy for me to write down, and I'm sure you have lots of them. If you skip down to the next question, this is where I love. It's like, what are some of the instincts and hunches you have right now? So to me, that's the big question, and that's the harder one, to tune into. What have you been being told? And what might they be telling you about your current path that you're on, or your future path? So if anything has popped up while I've been talking, you can write that down as well, jot it down. I'll share for myself. I've been getting nudged lately to become, to be ordained and to possibly, I want to work with people who are transitioning into the next life. I might want to work with, do some weddings and things like that. So I've been getting nudged for the last 2 years to become ordained. That's been huge, and it's been poke, poke, prod, prod, and I actually might be doing that this May. So what in your life have you been, what instincts have you been getting? What hunches have you had? If you write them down, and then I want to get like 2 people, if you would, just to raise your hand and unmute yourself, I guess, and share. So is there anyone willing to share something that's been poke, poke, prod, prod? Let's see. I'm reading down here. Anybody willing to share? Mark?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been kind of being prodded for at least, maybe the last year to kind of let my cleaning business go and just kind of do more of stuff I like and not so much stuff that doesn't really create a lot of income that takes a lot of time.
Nice. That's big.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Anybody else come up with something as we go? Yeah, Christina. How do you say your name? Christine?
Hold on, sorry, I had to unmute myself. It's Cristiani.
Cristiani.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, so I have been like working on, accepting that I am a walking manifestation for quite a while now.
Awesome.
And the latest is I have been a massage therapist for 12 years and I love it.
Okay.
I don't intend of stopping the art of body work, but I was feeling that I wanted to dedicate more time to a nonprofit that I started just like you, like yoga and meditation for underprivileged and homeless and prison and all that. And also I started sharing the power of sacred cacao with people. So there was all this pulling on the making the money as a massage therapist because it's most of my bill paying power is.
Yeah.
But also like accepting, no, I want more time to bake my chocolate, my sacred chocolate, and I want more time to do yoga and meditation with the people that I want to inspire to. So I am taking like 2 days down of my schedule just to devote to the passions. Massage therapy is a passion too, but I feel like, okay, now it's time to let it go even more of the fear of not doing that and doing something else and reinventing myself and keep on growing. Yeah.
I love that. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
And I want to continue on by saying that if we were in a group, and I'm noticing the time already because I can go on forever. If we were in a group, I would want everyone to share. And that's why this is normally a 2-hour class for me. I want to emphasize that. And do you see how the difference of those two, just opening up and sharing, how you just, my hearts are starting to open, and then the rest of you would have eventually shared something. And it turns into this amazing discussion. And I would love to take you guys there and continue, but for time purpose, we can't. So we are going to move on. So we're to the next part of this chapter, which is dreams and desires. So if you're with me in the workbook, go ahead and flip your page to page 60. And I will say, I love this part because this is what I know this is why I'm here. I'm here to inspire people to live a better life, to live a life that they love, to thrive. I mean, I just always have believed that. And people who are complacent, and I'm just like, come on. And I'm just a big cheerleader for that. I have been since I've been a kid. I also want to say, with that said, that I do believe that's my purpose in life. And I would teach a little section on life purpose right now if I were teaching, if I had the 2 hours to teach to you. So I'm not going to get into life purpose, but I do believe I'm a numerologist, and I'm a number 6. You can look that up later for your numerology. And I'm here to teach, and I'm here to heal, and I'm here to inspire people. So it says it in my chart. So and that's my purpose. And so I love to manifest. I love talking about manifesting. When I was a kid, I mean, looking back to when I was a kid and I wanted, remember the Nikes that came out? If you're my age, I don't, maybe you guys, there was the blue Nike and the red Nike. Like I wanted them, I wanted the red Nike, and my mom and dad are like, there's no way, we don't have the money. And of course I manifest the money and get the red Nike, and then I wanted the blue Nike, and of course that came into my life too. So I mean, I think back to even when I was a kid, I was doing this work. And then I continued on, always pursuing what I want. Mike says, and if you follow along in the books, our dreams and desires are windows into our future. That's the second key point. So our dreams and desires are so important. They're the windows into our future and of what could be. They keep us going in life, and they should always be honored. We're not here to survive, we're here to thrive. And I underline that, we're here to thrive. And this objective can only be met by pursuing what stirs in your heart. And that's your, their higher self. Your higher self is always going to nudge you along for your higher purpose of what, just nudge, nudge, nudge. And I will say there's a lot of people who I work with are very, they're very, what's the word? They're not willing to put themselves out there, I guess, and they're resistant to following that purpose or to following that what they're here to do or their dreams, because they're afraid of failing, or they're afraid of succeeding, keeping it up, or they're afraid of letting themselves down or letting somebody else down. So there's a lot of blocks for people to follow their dreams. And I think it's what Mike said, it's so important that they're the windows to your future. So paying attention to them is huge. That's why I love this work here on these 2 pages. Of course, we're out when we're out of balance, he says, that's the second paragraph. It could be that our dreams and desires might mislead us. So when we're out of balance, when we're in ego mind instead of in our hearts, with our higher selves, yet we all have the inner sense, so we all have the higher self that knows the difference between what will serve us and what only offers us short-time pleasure. So I look back to that, I look at that and I look back to what I told you before about me, that nudge to quit my teaching job of 18 years, which was so important in my life. And it wasn't for short-term pleasure. And, so if you look at it, look back to the things that you have done in your life and you've been nudged to do. And you can see that they were meant to be and not short-term pleasure. If you skip down to the last paragraph, when our dreams and desires promote happiness, fun, and fulfillment, for short and long term, that's when you have the green light. However, if they promise only recognition, status, or justification as a means to attaining happiness and fulfillment, then caution is advised. So I love this little advice that Mike gives us to really pause, and you get the intuition, but is it coming from here or is it coming from here? And when you know, then you have that green light, and then you can go for it. Like when I was being nudged with the teaching thing, I didn't jump in it the first time I heard it. It took me a little bit to be convinced and to know. It took a little bit at a time. So what do you want now is the next section. And I want to share that normally what I would do at this point is, before we jump into like 3 dreams and desires, it seems like it's kind of fast. I like to warm people up, and I do some activities. And so an idea of the first activity that I will do with someone is I will give them a sheet with all the categories that Mike has listed in the workbook, like relationships, jobs, service, career, love life, friends, whatever. And I'll have my students journal around those topics on like what they want. Like, what do you want with your job? What do you want with your love life? What do you want with your friends? Some people have never even gone there. I mean, take love life, for instance. Like, people are just not willing, they're like, what, there's more? And then when everybody shares kind of what they're looking for, it just opens the door to so much more, and and then actually putting it out there for desire. So I will have people journal around that. We'll do some sharing, and then we'll jump into writing down three things that we're looking for. Another activity that I love to do is I'll put on soft music, and I'll have them just journal around their perfect life. And so just journaling around, writing about everything that they want, and just like dreaming, like the perfect job and how many hours a week they would want to work, and just having fun with that. And then if we had time, we would share it. And then Mike, Julie gives an example. I love this activity where you write to your future self writes to you in 5 years. So your future, where you're going to be in 5 years, writes to you now, and writes this like woohoo letter of like, yeah, you're going to be on Oprah and whatever. And I love that. And I've done that in my workshops before, and they love it. And we read it, and then we go back and we write, okay, what are 3 things that we really want right now? I will tell you that it's 2017. As a numerologist, I'm here to tell you we're all on year 1. And I'm telling my classes this, so this is something I would do in my class. We're on year 1, which is like wind at your back, make some changes. And I would, before writing down or before doing a vision board or whatever, like at my retreat a couple weekends ago, I talked to them about, I just had them focus on what are their desires, and do we need to update them? Because this is new energy coming through. And are we operating on old ideas and old ways of getting our old goals, old desires? So it's something to consider. Another thing, I took some note. I wrote a few notes here. Are you still trying to pursue the goals using the same thinking? It's time. Is it time to clear the slate? Is it time to clear the slate? Like Mark mentioned earlier, I'm thinking about giving up my cleaning business. I'm not surprised. We're on year 1. This is where new things happen. So, when I teach this chapter to people, I'm taking into consideration of what I know about the energy that's in the world right now. And I know that this is all about new. It's time to revamp things. Create new energy. There's new energy that helping you create this. Let's see. It's time to get clear about your life and what you want, and time to get clear about how you want it to feel and how you want it to look. So this is the time. There's no wrong path. So there's not a wrong path you can go down. We're all going to get to where we're supposed to go. There's different ways. Obviously, there might be easier paths, that's always helpful. But you want to follow the path that feels good to you. And so you go with what you feel. Mike always says, how does it go with how, if something feels good, do it, follow the fun. With that said, I want to take a few minutes to journal right now on page 60. What are 3 of your dreams and desires? You can come up with 1. We don't have a lot of time, so for time's sake, you can do 1. But if you're writing, sometimes these ideas are just coming through. Go ahead and jot as many as you want. If you want to go further and write why you want them or who it's serving, you can always go back and do this later in a journal. I highly recommend it. For time's sake, we're just going to write down what the dream is. I'm going to start it off by saying, one of my things I mentioned earlier was to be ordained. So I'm going to write that down. But my second thing is I want to write a book. And I've been getting nudged, and I've been writing, but now it's time to put it into the book. And so I'm really excited about this, and I want to write a book, and I want to speak about it, and I want to inspire with it. So write, speak, inspire. So that's what I've already written down. And my third thing is kind of fun. I'm going to just share it. I've been getting nudged to do what Louise Hay does. And I mean that in the sense of I love organizing events. And I had an event come to Minnesota, and I invited Christiana and Jim and Sarah to come, and my biggest thrill in that whole thing was organizing it and getting people to come. And my people here, my 15 Minnesota people that showed up that day were like, oh my gosh, I loved it. And can you do it again? And I'm thinking to myself, do you know how many people I know who I could bring in? And so I just feel a little Louise Hay-ish. And I keep hearing that, like, you're the next Louise Hay, you're gonna organize these events, and who knows? So that is actually, I wrote it down because I've been getting nudged. I wrote it down. When you put the pen to the paper, it's like, that's when the magic happens, right? You name it and you claim it. So if you haven't already, write down. We have a couple of minutes left. I do want just like one, maybe two people, if you would be willing to share. Anybody raise your hand, your physical hand, so I can see you. I guess I can't see everybody anymore. Everybody's there. Yes, Miss Liz, go ahead. I would love to hear. Can you unmute you? I don't know if I can.
Okay.
There you go.
Hi. You guys, it's one of those serendipities. I was just online and saw the pop-up that you're going to be online. So it's all about serendipities and being here. And I believe that's what my life has been, one serendipity after another. So the 3 dreams that I'm creating is I've been working to create retreats, running retreats, exotic retreats, but some around the area as well. Another one is I'm finishing up my course with Tracy to be a psychic officially. I'm putting myself out there as a psychic and doing intuitive work along with the spiritual, the emotional, and the physical, because I'm a naturopath for 20 years. And I've been really, really called to create a community where I am. I was always thinking I have to do it somewhere else. And I just finally realized that I have what it takes here. I have like this grand table which holds 10 people, and I have this huge backyard which we can do amazing things. So I'm starting organizing events, and I'm also, like Mark, wanting to be able to support myself fully by my business and let go of, you know, the part-time, very, very part-time job that I have, which is great, brings in great money, but I really want to just be able to be creative and inspire.
I love it. It sounds like you're on fire.
I'm on fire.
Woo, yay.
I wanted to say really quick, I sent you a quick email, Regina, really quick text, but my first instinct was that I couldn't be at the New Mexico, and I didn't know why, but something was holding me back from not being able to book it, and it wasn't happening so organically. And then at the last minute, I found out there was only one this year, so I sent out a message, and then it didn't happen. I wasn't accepted on the crew. And then it's like, again, it's the magic happening. When you're in that flow, my father's dying. And so I'm not supposed to be there. So I should have just tested my first instinct. And because, you know, so it's about trusting that magic. And because of everything that I've learned, you know, it's all good, it's all well. And we're having the most beautiful time watching him right now, even though he's dying. It's so beautiful. I did meditation with him, some crystals with him. I did a reading with him, cards. It's a beautiful time. So I won't be with you, but I'll be with you in spirit. And I can't wait to see you at another TUT. And I love you guys so much. I miss you so much. And thank you for sharing.
Oh, love you, Liz. Sarah says love you. Thank you, hun. So thank you for sharing. And again, can you see how this could just turn into like the best conversation ever? Like, I want to keep going. I want to hear every one of yours. And unfortunately, we can't because we're out of time. So this is the chapter. And I want to end by going to 62. I'm not going to go over the whole page, but I just wanted to point out the tips for moving in the fast lane of life. I love it. Be yourself. When you start living your truth, that's when the magic happens, right? I have so many friends who are like, the minute I started living my truth, like clients were just calling me. So be yourself. 2, deal with what's on your plate already. And so basically honor your journey. Be happy with where you are. 3, follow the fun. Some of us have to make this a practice, and we need to work on following the fun. Number 4, begin it. And begin it is just take a step, just one little baby step, and put up your sail so the universe can sail your boat, right? I love that phrase. And so we are out of time. I would love to get questions from you. I would love to get questions about the chapter or about all the places that I've taught IP. I'm open to talking about anything. So is there anyone who has anything that they want to ask me?
And if there are no questions, then maybe some takeaways or what you learned from watching Deb teach today.
Yeah, so if anybody's willing to share as a teacher of something that maybe you picked up along the way, any takeaways? Sarah has something here. Let me see.
Sarah says, do you have a PowerPoint that goes along with the presentation?
Not this particular presentation, but I do have that's a good question. I do have one for Dreams and Desires that I did with some high school kids. So yeah, I do. That's a good question. So I can also talk to you, Regina, about giving you the information I have, like some of the
anything that you, if you want to post, that can be listed with this presentation underneath.
Yeah.
If you know, some people did share their PowerPoints, but it's completely up to you. You can choose.
Okay.
Hi, Carol, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Carol.
I wasn't even sure if you could see me. I think I've screwed up my video. So.
Nope, we can.
Okay, great. I really appreciated when you talked about really listening to your inner intuition on things, because I'm a go, do person, and I'm often not listening to that, or I wait till I get smacked upside the head to listen to it, kind of thing. So it was a good reminder personally to really listen for the answers rather than make the answers happen.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks, Carol.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? B?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Thank you.
Benjamin.
Thank you for presenting today. I sincerely appreciate the drop-in meditation that you did to set and frame the entire experience together. It really helped ground the conversation, us individually, me individually. I can only speak for myself. But I would imagine other people probably felt a little bit more grounded after that. Coming into this conversation, just the meditation in and of itself is getting into the instinct streams, realm, tapping into that very intimately right in the here and now. And I appreciate the way the simplicity and yet the profundity of the questions that are asked in this chapter. And the insight, the takeaway for me is I'm exploring the idea that my partner Deborah and Deborah's not able to be here today with me, but she'll watch the call recording there. Her and I are exploring the possibilities of doing this as a Zoom training with people in different countries and what have you. And the insight and the takeaway is just to utilize, there are several places where you just read verbatim in the manual, and then you pause after reading one or two sentences, and then you fill in with your own life experience on that particular subject or that topic. And then you continued and you proceed just reading what was there and then also animating it with your own personal experiences. And then likewise, we have an electronic version of this workbook that we can use with people where they can actually type into the fields. So one way of utilizing this is so people can follow along with their electronic copy and then type in the fields on their computer.
I love that.
Via Zoom. And there's a way to just toggle back and forth with your computer between the Zoom screen and your workbook. You can pause after talking about something for, a few minutes and giving, both the workbook experience and your own personal experience as the trainer. You can then coach them to go in and do the questions right on their computer and just type their answers in like that. And have a running dialogue, so they don't have to worry about printing the wrong or anything if they live in Germany, for instance. So.
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for saying that.
Cheers. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Deb, so both what Carol talked about and Benjamin talked about, I also wrote down. And then another thing that I also really liked that you did at the beginning was really talk about, and you talked about it to us as trainers, but I can see that you would probably also do this to your class, about opening up to experiencing the class with beginner's mind, like with new eyes and new ears to hear something different. I think that is a great way to sort of dissolve some tension that might be in the room, or some of that, like, oh, I already know this kind of resistance that happens sometimes with people when they start to hear something and then they can tune out. But like, to do that, and you did that a lot with sort of normalizing different ways that people could look at things, or different words that people could use. And I appreciate that inclusive and gentle sort of nature of your teaching. Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah.
B?
Yeah, one more insight that came as Regina was sharing is the way you, granted on this time, we didn't have so much, on this call, we didn't have so much time to allow for this, but the importance of allowing people to share, and like seeing it from the Zoom perspective of giving each person, each voice a chance to share their experience with that particular part of the topic, I think is pretty profound, because it really brings in multiple perspectives, it layers it, it opens people up. I really appreciated that aspect.
Thank you.
And I'd love to see more of it, and I understand the time constraints of this experience. I can see the profundity of that.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts or personal takeaways, or anything that wants to be said before we complete for today? Okay. Well, Deb, thank you. Thank you.
That was fun.
Friday morning, afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. And it was wonderful to see all of you who joined us live. And thank you if you're watching the replay. Our next, we have, all the rest have been scheduled and they were just in the newsletter. I know we have Rebecca on May 12th. And Gretchen's coming up, and Jim will be in June. So we'll have all 7 chapters done. And then depending on the feedback that I get, maybe, next year we'll do another one. So we'll have a couple of different demos that people can watch. So just building it up. So I know I'll see some of you in Santa Fe. I can't wait. And for the rest of you, we'll see you in community online. Thank you for being here today, and have a great weekend. And thanks, Deb.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.